They announced they were going to create kick-ass biosphere structure, like big, amazing kick-ass. And they built it, completed in 1991. By 1993, Biosphere 2 was fucking puking cash. 150 million.
Long gone.
He needed a fixer. So, of course, he went to Steve Bannon.
No!
Bannon heads to Biosphere 2 with a bunch of armed US Marshals.
What?
And they went in.
Are you serious?
Yep. So a few days before Bannon was supposed to testify to the grand jury, the director of engineering basically stuck a tape recorder down his pants, literally. And we're talking recording technology of the 1990s, so it would have been.
Yeah, it's one of those big things. It's got the handle. The handle's poking in.
Boombox. Yeah. So why are you walking like that? No reason. He talked about a moment where she'd submitted a 5-page complaint outlining safety problems at the site. And to that he said, I'm going to ram it down her fucking throat. I am not about to have a 29-year-old bimbo criticize the people at this place for running something.
Oh, okay.
She's going to pay. She's going to pay, and when this is over, she's finished. The battle to fix climate change needs champions. We need champions to help us fix climate change. I think that's undeniable.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta, of course. That's the first one I listed too.
Gianluca Grimaldi.
Yes, a man who you are going to or have already listened to.
Have already
listened to.
Or could.
There's also like Michael Mann, the hockey stick guy. I mean, Leo DiCaprio, David Attenborough, David Suzuki, there's all these sort of semi-stars. Yep. What about corporate champions? Can you think of any of them?
Look, in another era, there was someone who drove the market on electric vehicles pretty well.
That's true.
Not a perfect person otherwise.
Not a perfect. What about like Tim Cook of Apple? Would you call him a champion?
Oh, look, he's certainly not the worst corporate CEO but still, Apple devices.
What a t-shirt. The worst.
Apple is a giant company. Yeah. Apple uses a giant amount of energy, and they are part of a consumerist world that is the problem. And yes, there are worse people.
Well, I mean, I read this, I was looking at this website, watershed.com climate leads. Amit Konkar was listed as head of sustainability for Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm very skeptical. I mean, also there's like the global sustainability manager for Spotify makes some claims.
Okay.
Anyway, but it's hard to pick a corporate one. What about political ones?
Al Gore.
How about Anne Hidalgo?
Mayor of Paris.
Fuck me.
I know my mayors.
You are a strange individual.
I know my mayors.
In some ways, you're an everyday dirtbag, and then you come out with that. What about this guy? You've never heard of him, Antonio Guterres.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, the mayor of Paris.
He's that guy.
He's that guy.
Yeah, I wore the hat.
UN chap. So he could be arguably a political climate champion. What about former US President Donald J. Trump?
No.
That's a no?
No, I don't.
Hard no?
I don't believe he is an advocate for doing stuff on climate change.
What about in his orbit? His 2016 presidential campaign manager and former investment banker, Hollywood executive, and continuously being charged and convicted of crimes, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome to The Wholesome Show, the podcast that would creepy hug with anyone to get deeper into the whole of science. I'm Will Grant.
I can't remember who he is. I'm non-creepy hugging Roderick G. Landers.
I was just trying to put enough air between it. That's all I needed.
No, you don't.
I just needed enough air between.
The term biosphere.
Oh, yeah.
So it's coined in the late 1800s, 1870s-ish, apparently by a geologist, Edward Seuss, spelt like Dr. Seuss. It's a place on the Earth's surface where life dwells, and it was reflecting the idea that life shapes and forces the way the Earth happens.
So the place on Earth where life dwells, obviously not in the core or the mantle or
not
the
as much,
magma,
yeah.
But the crust, a little bit into the crust and a little bit above the crust, but not much.
The finth around it.
But then saying that life shapes the planet.
In fact, one definition said he talked about life shaping the geology of the Earth, which I think is a big call, but that's the gist of it. 1926, so a bit later, Russian scientist, a guy called Vladimir Vernadsky, God, it's very difficult. He published a book called The Biosphere, bit of a giveaway. So to him, the biosphere was a self-sustaining ecological web of life that formed a skin on the planet, essentially.
Yeah.
It's translated from
the skin on the soup, the fly in the ointment.
Only more delicious.
Yeah.
Or at least necessary.
For us.
These powerful images, as they started talking about biospheres in the early days, early 20th century and stuff, really inspired people. So ecologists went on to create these little basically terraria, globes of water with algae and little invertebrates living around, in these closed systems.
That's cool. As in like sealed and
yeah. So seeing how they, let's check them out. And I mean, old school terraria, in theory, you could seal them off and leave them running so the little plants would grow, the moisture would be retained, etc.
So cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
Very cool.
I love it.
And when I was a child, the terrarium coffee table was the thing. And I wanted one so badly.
Oh my God.
Fuck, I wanted one so
Mum and Dad, why don't we have a coffee table?
Every time we went anywhere near a store that had it. So it was a standard coffee table, but underneath, big ass terrarium.
So you tease me for knowing who the mayor of Paris is. And you're like, Mum and Dad, I got coffee table needs.
Yeah, both of those are true. In the middle of the 20th century-ish, Soviet scientists would put people in
coffee tables?
Yes. Experimental little chambers. So they'd breathe oxygen from algae, they'd eat hydroponic crops, and they're trying to see how well maybe we could live off planet. But I reckon these, and it's fair to say from what I'm about to tell you, these projects lacked ambition. Dramatically lacked ambition. So 1984, there's a company formed, or at least a company already existed, called Space Biosphere Ventures, SBV, Space Biosphere Ventures. They announced they were going to create kick-ass biosphere structure, like we're talking big, amazing kick-ass. They want an airtight bunch of domes. It would be entirely self-contained. There'd be ecosystems within it. The inhabitants would be provided with air, water, food. It would process waste. It would do the whole schmear.
I love this.
It's fucking crack. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it was called Biosphere 2 because Biosphere 1 is the Earth.
Yes.
So the idea really kicked off earlier, 70s, at a place called Synergia Ranch in New Mexico. Synergia.
Of course.
I know. It was described as an intentional community devoted to ecological sustainability. Mm-hmm. Intentional community.
Well, there's a growing movement of intentional communities. People choosing how you live, not just accidentally living.
Just sort of reacting to life.
The way that things happen, but saying this is what I want.
Activating life.
Yeah. And cults are the far end of some intentional communities.
God bless them.
But there are lighter versions where you go, I'd like to live a little bit more nature or a little bit more with friends and family. Not terrible.
Or technological or whatever it may be. Yeah, no, and these guys seem fine. Apparently the inhabitants of the ranch basically, quote, split their time between experimental theatre, farming and furniture making.
Do you have to do all three?
At once. Yes. You're digging a plough, you're pretending to be a tree.
But I get it. There's no TV. Obviously,
in the 70s,
in your intentional community, that's like
I don't know that to be true. There may be.
No one watches TV if they're a hippie in the 70s.
No one said hippie.
They are
intentional.
They're an intentional community. That is hippie.
Nothing about this doesn't sound hippie. You're right. They're also convinced basically that Western civilization was, I don't know, coughing up blood, dying on its own entrails.
Again, hippie.
Yeah, very hippie. So John Allen, who was a co-founder, he's an ecologist and a playwright as well. And he said, look, Western civilization isn't simply dying, it's dead.
Oh, okay.
We are probing into its ruins to take whatever is useful for the building of the new civilization to replace it.
Cool.
Hippie / cult, whatever. So they planned, schemed, and dreamed up plans to blend high tech and ecological principles to create a self-sustaining wonderland, pure, controlled, clean awesomeness, Biosphere 2. Of course, they needed money because you need money to build things.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly big-ass sci-fi biospheres. So John, Mr. Allen, became buddies with a Texas oil billionaire called Edward Bass. And I think he was a multi-generational billionaire, like he might have been the Texas oil billionaire at the time.
The first one.
Or at least
he
was doing all right. So Bass became the chief financial backer of Biosphere 2.
Okay.
And he also became the chair of the Space Biosphere Ventures company was John Bass. They basically would administer and manage the whole shebang, the whole Biosphere 2 thing. Bass also ponied up $150 million.
$150 million?
$150 million.
Wow.
This was not a modest undertaking. Like they were going for something big and hairy.
No, I get it. But also that's a lot to convince a philanthropist to go, all right, we're going to make something.
And look, philanthropist is not what you normally strap to the Texas oil billionaire title.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he said, sure, $150 million. And they built it. It exists. So it was built outside of Oracle, Arizona, about 30 miles north of Tucson. And I mean, we all know that landscape, obviously.
Desert.
Completed in 1991. Specs of this thing. So it's basically a 3.14 acre terrarium. So
give me it in Australian.
More than 12,500 square meters of floor area.
Give me another Australian.
Big.
Good.
This will help. 6,500 windows.
Well,
how big's a window? window size. At its highest point, it was about 28 meters high.
Okay. Small office block.
Yeah. So it was basically nearly 204 million litres of like capacity under the glass dome.
Okay, so who goes when they're going on you're looking for a house and you go on the
How many
house
litres
search
is it?
how many litres in this house? Like,
I'm going to ask real estate agents. Look, yeah, I've read the listing. How many litres would you say it is? Twixt floor and ceiling.
And look, I get if you're building a sealed terrarium,
would matter.
Then that's a thing that, well, whether it matters or not, it's a thing that you kind of pay. You've got that many litres of air. Whereas
it matters.
my house ain't so sealed.
There's a gap. I can see it.
My air's coming in and out. That's all. It's just.
I think it matters a lot more under these circumstances.
I want a 1 million litre house.
Yeah. The stainless steel structure, the liner that sealed it in was 500 tons.
Oh, okay.
Of stainless steel.
That's a lot of stainless steel.
Yeah. And the goal was to house something like 3,800 species of plants and animals within it.
Okay. Animals?
Yeah, like hummingbirds, lemurs, like bush babies and shit, like creatures of all.
It's a freaking beautiful art project. Like a side tell me the science in a bit, but it like just the making of this to go, okay, you've all made terraria, but this is the real one.
We're going for it.
It's better than your coffee table.
Oh God, it is. I love the scale of it. I just love the pure we're going to build everything, and they are. So, of course, it would process wastewater by pumping it through wetlands. It would recycle nutrients, and it would contain a number of specific biomes. So it would have separate a small ocean, mangrove wetlands,
small ocean,
tropical rainforest, savanna grassland, and a fog desert.
A fog desert.
Yeah. So the plan was to put 8 biospherans or biospherites into this container. Humans, to live in the entirely self-contained environment, grow their own food, recycle their own waste.
Like, are we setting up a community here so that we can make babies and
No, they're not going that far.
Okay, they're not going that far.
Procreation was not in the job description.
Because I think we need more than 8.
Not to test it. I think your first test is not throwing 300 and make them fuck. I think it's more like, let's put a few in and see if they live.
Make them fuck. That was in the ethics application.
Survive, breed, yeah. So one of them, Jane Pointer, said at the time, a lot of scientists said it literally could not be done, that the whole thing was going to turn into green slime. And you can imagine that too. It just kind of turned to goo and rot. September the 25th, 1991, opening night, the night before they were going to go in. The Biosphere company, Space Biosphere Ventures, they had a dance party for 2,000 people outside the complex.
Outside, not allowed in.
Not in, no. Woody Harrelson was there. Timothy Leary was there. There were some wacky celebrity guests.
In fairness, they are 2 celebrity guests. That makes your party good. If you've got
who should be there.
If you've got Timothy Leary and Woody Harrelson at your party, it's a good party.
They need to be there. So the next morning, the 8 biospherans paraded in front of, this is the quote, paraded in front of the press wearing blue jumpsuits that looked like surplus costumes from Star Trek VI, which I assume was the movie of the time.
Oh.
They went in, shut the airlock door, committed to stay in there, sealed off and self-sufficient for 2 years. So basically September 93, they would, pop the seal. 2 weeks after they closed the door.
No, what?
Jane Pointer, the one who said they probably didn't think it would work, sliced off the tip of her finger in a rice threshing machine.
Oh, that's no good.
So the mission's doctor, there was a doctor within the 8.
Of course, that's what you do. Because if you're out in space, you can't just be calling for help.
No, you need a doctor. So the doctor went, look, I'll stick it back on, but then thought, maybe you should go to hospital. So she got sent off to hospital. Out of the dome.
That's out of the dome.
2 weeks in. When she came back, which apparently was only a few hours later, she surreptitiously brought extra stuff from Biosphere 2's management, like
muesli bars,
computer parts and colour film.
Colour film? Oh, okay. Well, colour film's just to document stuff, and computer parts, obviously, your Windows, your RAM. Can't expect that to last for 2 years.
Or 2 weeks, apparently.
No doubt.
Months later, reporters not only learned about this delivery, but they also heard about many other deliveries.
Oh, you're saying they cheated?
Seeds, vitamins, mousetraps, and other supplies sometimes twice a month.
Seeds and vitamins aren't really affecting the ecosystem. And mousetraps, whatever, that's not affecting the ecosystem.
You're on Mars, right? You're on Mars. You think, we forgot our vitamins, I'll just call in for them.
You would.
And what I need is a mousetrap.
Dear NASA, please send mousetrap 1.
Within, exactly, brackets for the use of. So very quickly they went, food's going to be a problem. So the weather was cloudy for the first few months, so the crops were stunted.
Oh, see, it's
not
the
their fault.
weather. It's the weather. You know, the exogenous, man.
Exactly. And when they say on Mars when there's a dust storm for a year, it's not our fault.
It's a 1 in 2,000 year event.
It's not our fault.
It was cloudy. How could you predict this?
Freaking weird. So the biospherians had to break into a 3-month supply of food that had been secretly stored before the doors had been closed. So they had secret food supply as well.
Yeah, but secret food supply is not, well, secret, yes, is a problem. But I get, you know, if you're going onto a spaceship, you wouldn't expect your crops to be growing instantly. Like I think you're on a rocket to Mars. You're like, can we harvest the potatoes today? Like when you launch, it's
Can I put a sandwich in my pants?
I think I'm eating the muesli bars for a little while until the crops grow.
Yeah. So somewhere between 8 and 12 months, depending on the source, oxygen started disappearing, which made the inhabitants feel, quote, as if they were living at 14,000 feet. We're getting a little low on the oxygens.
Yeah, okay.
This was not because of leakage. This is because there had been an explosion of oxygen-gulping bacteria in the soil.
Yeah, well, green slime.
Yeah. This gulping of oxygen by the bacteria should have led to excess CO2.
That's what I would have thought.
I
just did a quick chemistry
calculation. I know, you thought of
that. Too much O2, plant, CO2.
Yeah. So they couldn't find any though. They're like, what the fuck, where is it? And then it turned out it was, they didn't expect this, chemically bonding with the concrete in the structure.
Oh, too much concrete?
No, not necessarily too much, just that's what it was doing. And they're like, fuck, okay. So they didn't have any indicators saying we have excess CO2 because it was getting bonded with the structure. So great, they knew what was happening, but what do you do to fix the problem?
Get rid of your concrete.
No, you get people from the outside, from Space Biosphere Ventures. The management team came in and pumped oxygen into the building and used a CO2 scrubber.
Okay, we're bending some rules again.
A little bit.
It's a little bit bendy.
A little bit. But they didn't tell anyone. So this is a secret, no public announcement. So they're basically sneaky scrubbers.
They didn't tell you.
So the truth started to come out about the cheating and the mission lost credibility. And at the same time as this is all going on, the ecosystem was, as it was put, in flux. Hummingbirds and honeybees died.
Oh, I was hoping hummingbirds boomed.
You were rooting for them?
I was hoping there was like a million hummingbirds in
Nothing
there.
but hummingbirds.
It was just hummingbird crazy.
We eat them, we make friends with them.
Yeah, exactly. I would like an ecosystem to boom with hummingbirds one day.
So hummingbirds and honeybees died. Crops, therefore, went unpollinated. Worms and broad mites attacked crops. And one of the quotes was, cockroaches reigned.
Oh, yeah.
Because they always do.
Yeah.
The scientists of the project start getting slammed in the media.
Yeah.
And some of those, even today, still get upset about this. They're saying it's not fair.
Can you? Well, can I add to that?
Yeah.
It's not fair. I can point to ecosystems over there. They're all over the place. But making a brand new one, we have no idea how complicated they are.
Well, we know they find their own homeostasis, their own balance, and we can't be sure what we haven't put in there.
But I think let them off the hook. This is an experiment, and an experiment number one.
This is exactly what, Pointer, the finger lady.
Yep.
She said, look, it's absurd the media portrayed it as a failure because it completely missed the point that it was an experiment.
It's science.
We're testing shit out. The goal was to discover what problems arise in a human-made biosphere and learn. So others said, look, the failure was not the lack of oxygen, it was the lack of transparency, the fact they went sneaky and secret.
Yeah, fair enough.
They should have just been honest. So 10 months into the mission, the project's expert advisory board, this is again a quote, delivered a blistering report criticising its ill-defined goals and the crew's lack of scientific expertise.
Yeah, and fair enough. Like ill-defined goals, you can imagine one goal is we're going to succeed and another goal is we're going to find out how it fails.
Yeah.
And they're quite different.
Well, they certainly could be, yes. And in this instance, I'm going to go with yes. So things got really tetchy, and in the end, the board quit en masse because of all this stuff. Also, by 1993, Biosphere 2 was fucking puking cash, like the 150 million.
Long gone.
Long gone. So Bass spent another $50 million on the project, but he wanted to get the finances under control. So what he needed was someone to take control, get it back on track, make everyone fly right, runs on the board, kick goals to the car park. He needed a fixer. So, of course, he went to Steve Bannon.
No!
1993. Bannon was a manager of his own investment banking firm.
Of course he
Bannon
is.
and Co.
Of course, and Co. Anyone who will hang out with me.
Me and other. Based in Beverly Hills, naturally. He specialised in takeovers because...
Yeah, I get it.
He said Biosphere 2's managers were, this is a quote, resisting financial discipline. He reckoned it would run a $16 to $20 million deficit just in 1993. So Bannon also, with his assistant was Bass, the billionaire's banker, Martin Bowen. They went to New York. They went to talk to investment banks. They were looking for venture capital. Not a lot of interest. So he went, I got a better idea. I got a marketing plan. We'll sell biospheres to governments around the world.
Okay.
We'll build Biosphere 3 and it'll be like a Las Vegas
franchise.
And a Las Vegas casino and resort Biosphere 3. Gambling. Within the biosphere, amongst the corpses of hummingbirds.
You know that'd be cockroaches everywhere, corpses of hummingbirds.
Crunching the birds with small birds.
I want to play some blackjack.
Yeah.
Like gambling.
Fucking genius. So that was the next setup. Not a lot of interest.
Weird.
So in a book about the biosphere, an author called Rebecca Reeder, Dreaming the Biosphere, she wrote this in 2009. The people at Biosphere just treated huge amounts of money like it was petty cash, according to Steve Bannon.
Not necessarily on his side.
Millions
but I can just imagine that money would just fall out of your hands in a project like this. It is so complicated. And
particularly though, when you're a sciencey or a dreamer person and you've just been handed hundreds of millions, it'd be easy to just kind of not think about it. Bass, of course, agreed this is a problem. So the solution they came up with was take control of Biosphere 2 from John Allen and drop Bannon in as acting CEO.
Oh my God.
So back at the time, Bannon, he wasn't, like the gag-inducing, helmetless Darth Vader-looking, double shirt-wearing, monstrous beast.
He doesn't look like Darth Vader. He looks like Darth Vader who's been on a yacht.
He looks like Darth Vader with the helmet off in Return of the Jedi.
Who's been on a yacht?
Who's been on a yacht. Before he became attached to Trump, he looked very different. He was positively lean, like he was sporty. He looked almost dapper. And he also expressed what I would call, for him, an unexpected view of climate change and climate science.
In what way?
So he did an interview on C-SPAN, 95, and these are some quotes. A lot of the scientists who are studying global change and studying the effects of greenhouse gases, many of them feel that the Earth's atmosphere in 100 years is exactly what Biosphere 2's atmosphere is now.
Okay.
So it's like, this may be predictive. We have extraordinarily high CO2, we have very high nitrous oxide, we have high methane, and we have lower oxygen content. So he's telling people in this, and he's just saying this is what's going on. So the power of this place is allowing those scientists who are really involved in the study of global change and which, in the outside world or Biosphere 1, really have to work with just computer simulations. But this, basically, they can actually check it out. And he's talking this up, like he's saying this is really good because we can do this stuff. So under his management, the focus of Biosphere 2 turned into, instead of being this hermetically sealed, weird science experiment for people, it became a place for planetary and climate science research.
That's awesome.
Under Steve Bannon. This is not what I would have expected from more recent Steve Bannon. Anyway, back to the takeover. May 1994. At some point in May, the first Biosphere team had moved out, but Team 2 moved in.
Well, you got to get replacements.
Well, Team 1 needs a Team 2. That's true. So at the time, Bannon purged the entire Biosphere 2 management team.
Yeah, sure.
So Team 2 moves in and he goes, by the way, you're all out. So the debt clearing.
So management's external to the team.
Yeah.
Like management's sitting on the outside looking at the computers and the graphs and the power switches and stuff.
And they're making the decisions about the big stuff. Like, because this is a big outfit. Like there are a lot of people working around this campus. It's like it was a 40-acre campus or something. So the debt clearing, though, of these management teams was a final straw for some of the other leadership people. And they said, look, we're very concerned what Bannon might do. So that was in May 94. April the 1st, 1994. Bannon heads to Biosphere 2 with a bunch of armed US Marshals.
What?
And others. And they went in.
Are you serious?
Yep. And he put his brother in charge, who was a former Navy pilot.
Okay.
Chris Bannon. Chris Bannon's in charge. And Chris Bannon told the author who was talking about...
So on the inside or on the outside is Chris Bannon?
Going in with the Marshals, etc.
Okay.
So he was on the outside and went in. And so the quote by Chris Bannon, we had to secure the gate out front. We had to get out with the federal marshals, serve the security person at the gate. I assume serve them with notice.
Yeah.
Secure the gate.
What? How can federal marshals be doing? What is the crime that's been committed?
Because the company had changed hands and they'd said, you people are now no longer representative. Like you've got to get out.
Sure. But why do we just get the government to do that for us?
Persuasiveness. I know. Bannon, man. So then he said we had to move into other critical areas that had already been defined in order to ensure the safety of security of the biosphere and its systems. So protect the biosphere, protect the systems, get these.
The biosphere.
So the Bannon boys had timed the takeover. They wanted to coincide with John Allen, the original Synergia guy, and many of the original leadership team being away, overseas in fact.
Yeah, well, sure.
Which you would. But not all of them were overseas. So 2, Abigail Ayling and Mark Van Thilo. So Abigail was an ecologist or had a master's degree and passionate defender.
She's on the inside? She's one of the...
On the outside. She was a former management.
Okay.
So she was really into this thing. Passionate defender was the description. And Mark Van Thilo was an engineer. Mm-hmm. So they flew to Arizona as soon as they heard the seizure was going to happen or had just happened, and they wanted to warn the Biosphereans that the Bannon management team would jeopardize their safety.
That's wild.
Yeah. So Ayling, the passionate defender, told the engineer to break the system's safety valves and open the doors. Smash the fucker, open it up.
So you can't just open the doors. There's like it's sealed hard.
Yeah, you got to you don't just kind of oops.
Oh damn!
I open the door for a durry and then
no. It's whoa.
They're serious about this. Spaceship, man. Spaceship.
Yeah.
So then while he's doing that, she had an interview with a local paper and she compared the situation to the space shuttle Challenger exploding, which was considered a little hyperbolic.
And a little bit insensitive. I think it's a bit too soon.
Basically suggesting that these people could die horribly as well.
Well, and in fairness, they possibly could. I don't know.
We can open the door,
but
break a window.
Challenger was a giant explosion in the atmosphere.
Basically in space. Anyway, so they did this. A few days later, they were both arrested. The detective and a county prosecutor agreed that if any charges were laid, they'd be misdemeanors. Like, you've been naughty, know, $5, smack you, whatever. But then the Biosphere management, the new guys, contacted the prosecutors and said, no. They've done tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. And so they ended up being charged with 3 felonies, including criminal property damage. And so a grand jury was set for a few days later, in fact, April the 21st. Some of the staff who were still on the board of Biosphere working there, they were very loyal to the original mission, the whole Mars thing, etc. And they were very unhappy with Bannon, deeply suspicious, and super loyal also to John Allen, the original guy. So a few days before Bannon was supposed to testify to the grand jury, the director of engineering basically stuck a tape recorder down his pants, literally, and down his undies. And we're talking recording technology of the 1990s, so it would have been.
Yeah, it's one of those big things. It's got the handle. The handle's poking in.
Boombox, So why are you walking like that? No reason. So he wanders in to go and have a chat with Steve Bannon. And some of the choice snippets from the chat, when Bannon is talking about John Allen, the big guy, Johnny thought they got a rough lesson on April the 1st, and they did. And you tell Johnny who delivered that lesson. I delivered it, okay? I'm the man. Fucking sorted Johnny out. On Ayling, the woman who encouraged the engineer to break the seal, etc., and talking about his upcoming testimony, he said, fucking April the 1st, I kicked Alan's ass, and now I'm going to kick her ass on Thursday.
Okay.
Steve's coming back. This is the Steve we know and love. Bannon was also wildly pissed off with Ayling's attitude in general and her Challenger comments. Mm-hmm. So he talked about a moment where she'd submitted a 5-page complaint outlining safety problems at the site. And to that he said, I'm going to ram it down her fucking throat. She thinks she is a goddess. She thinks she's above us all. She thinks she has transformed to something that we are not worthy of. Well, you know what? I don't buy that. I think she's a self-centered, deluded young woman and she's about to get a reality check and I'm going to deliver it to her.
Self-centered, deluded.
Yeah.
Weird.
I am not about to have a 29-year-old bimbo criticize the people at this place for running something.
Oh, okay.
She's going to pay. She's going to pay, and when this is over, she's finished.
Seriously, these people are really, why do they get so angry about this?
Passionate.
Yeah.
The story got a little muddled, but the bottom line, it seems to be here, what happened was, in the wake of the felony case, Ayling and Van Thilo, the two dudes, the people, they filed a civil suit against Space Biosphere Ventures for a breach of contract.
Yep.
So then, of course, the company countersues. So there's all these civil lawsuits going on. They were consolidated, put together. The criminal case about their damages was for some reason dropped, and it goes to trial in 1996. But apparently at one point there's a pre-trial interview and Bannon's told, act like you're under oath. Assume you're under oath. This is the kind of things you're saying. And he denied saying anything about Ayling at all.
Yeah, okay.
Because he didn't know he was being recorded.
Yeah.
But then he gets to trial and it seems like he confessed some of the things he said, which pissed the jury off. So they found in favour of Ayling and Van Thilo. Mm-hmm. So Space Ventures had to pay them $600,000.
Oh, okay.
But they had to pay $40,000 in damages to the company. So what did this all mean for Biosphere 2?
It's still going really well and the hummingbirds have come back?
It is still going.
That's awesome.
But the second team, so they tried to continue the mission, but it was cut short, 5-7 months maybe, and they were out. November of 95, Bannon goes in and brokers a deal with Columbia Uni to manage the Biosphere 2 project.
Okay.
So his tenure ended after about 2 years, just over 2 years. So he brokers the deal and he's gone.
Yeah, okay.
So Columbia researchers went, this is awesome. We have a mini world. We can tweak CO2. We can play with this and do research.
It's an awesome research thing.
It's phenomenal.
It's
phenomenal.
You know,
and remember, it has all these biomes as well. It has these sub-areas.
And you can imagine, you invest a whole bunch of money and things go complicated for a while because the whole point is it takes a while to settle down. I think it's complicated both internally in the ecosystem, but complicated in terms of the governance as well.
But Bannon brokered it, which I still find fascinating. And then so Columbia ran it till 2003, and then the University of Arizona took over.
Yep.
2011, Bass officially donated the biosphere to them.
Yeah, okay.
It's yours, and also here's $20 million.
Oh, that's fair enough. That's nice.
And so in 2021, I was reading.
For an oil billionaire, it's all right.
Maybe I feel like this is kind of like, maybe I need to have a legacy other than raping and pillaging. Like planet, not people. He's not a monster.
Planet, yeah.
So in 2021, Scientific American describes this. This is delicious. Walking into the biosphere. Opening the door to a glass pyramid, a visitor steps from the arid heat of Arizona into a coastal fog desert that stretches towards a savanna.
Fog desert.
Towards a savanna.
Towards savannah.
A Lilliputian ocean laps against a rocky shore. Ocean. A passageway leads to a steamy rainforest where vine-necklaced trees tower over 90 feet high. That's 4,000 meters.
I try, listener.
Ish.
I try to give you conversions.
And so do I.
No, you don't.
I do, but they're not good. Here in Biosphere 2, the world's largest controlled environment dedicated to climate research, scientists can tinker with scaled-down ecosystems by switching off sprinklers.
Are they allowed to?
Yeah.
Just tinker?
To. Yeah, tinker.
Turn off hummingbirds?
Crank up the thermostat.
Turn up hummingbirds?
Yeah.
Turn down cockroaches?
Yeah, like it's a giant Sim City kind of thing.
I'm turning mice right down.
Yeah, turn
like
off
rats.
the mice.
You know,
turn up the hummingbirds.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, too many hummingbirds. So the question is, was it a failure? Well, according to original intentions, probably kinda. But to be fair, for 2 years-ish, people grew all the foods and stuff and they kind of lived.
Okay. The first 2 years?
Yeah, they did okay. Except for the finger being sliced off, there wasn't really a big health issue that happened.
Finger being sliced off is just whatever.
It's not great. The water was fine. They could drink it without getting poisoned. A few species went extinct, but the ecosystem stayed alive. It did not turn into slime.
No, that's pretty good.
It's not bad at all.
Like a few species went extinct, and and the water was drinkable.
Better than we were doing in Biosphere 1.
No. There are plenty of cities that are a lot more fucked up than that.
Yeah. So they did all right. And now, what about now? It's still running. So back to the Scientific American from 2021. In its half-acre rainforest, scientists are probing how tropical ecosystems might weather late 21st century heat and drought. So they're doing a test on that.
Turn up the heat.
Soon they hope to experiment with radical coral reef restoration methods.
Yeah, throw some coral in there.
Yeah. It's a 1 million gallon ocean, and a gallon is about, I think, it's about 4 litres, isn't it? 3-4 litres?
It's about 4 litres.
I did a conversion. The current director, or at least the director in 2021, he says he sees it as effectively like a time machine that can preview a climate-altered Earth, which is fucking fabulous.
That's cool.
It's fabulous. And there's also talk, at least last year, of going back to the original dream of using it to simulate life on an otherwise dead planet. So going back a little bit to that Mars-related stuff.
On an otherwise dead planet. I was saying on the outside
like
it's
Mars
dead. Yeah. You've made your little dome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, what happened to Steve Bannon? Well, he went from vigorously promoting Biosphere 2.
Where'd he go?
Then he went to running Breitbart News. And of course, as we know, at least maybe someone listening who doesn't know anything about it, one quote about Breitbart News has an antagonistic approach towards the topic of climate change. It mocks climate change deniers and claims the Earth is actually cooling. So he changed. Then, of course, he took a leave of absence to run Trump's successful presidential campaign. And finally, his current hobby, of course, is, being arrested, being prosecuted, being convicted, and or currently he's still under investigation. He's still going through legal stuff right now. But I got to say, what I love most is Steve fucking Bannon was instrumental in this device, in this gigantic possible experiment for climate stuff. He was instrumental in this happening, or at least continuing.
People turn up.
It's fucking amazing.
It's so weird. There's 8 billion people on the planet.
Easily.
There's when it comes down to it, there's not that many people. The people they turn up all over the place. Yeah. All over the place.
Yeah. I just wonder if I assume he's just a raw opportunist and doesn't care. And we've seen interviews later. He's like, I just want to burn shit down. I don't care. But yeah, it wasn't just like he happened to manage it for a while. He actually, he negotiated the deal with the university to take it over.
Look, and it's
breaks
still
my brain.
that seems to have made a difference. Colombia ran it for how many, 20 years or whatever.
A few years, and then Arizona now still run it.
Yeah, but it kept it alive.
It's amazing.
And I think inside there's an ecosystem challenge, and you're governing the ecosystem. You're turning it up, turning it down, adding hummingbirds, whatever. But on the outside, there's a governance challenge as well. How do you make this thing? It's gonna need money. It's gonna need some sort of input. It's gonna need people. It's gonna need whatever it is. And yes, it'll be awesome to get to a place where it's fully functioning and the scientists inside, they can make enough food and they can make enough science to make it fully functioning. But to expect that to happen instantly, wild. I think he kept it going.
I know, and I'm confused about having to say, well done, Steve.
No, look, and look, I got to say, I was teasing Texas oil billionaire guy, but a visionary investment in a piece of science equipment that can only happen if someone's like, no, I'm going to invest a lot of, it's like the large pieces of science investment, like the Large Hadron Collider or something like that. They take a lot of money, but to do something about ecosystems, it's a really cool idea. And I get there is a little bit of the escapist sort of, what if we live on Mars?
How do I get away?
But it's also understanding the world. That's awesome.
Oh, it's cool as hell. Thank you, Steve Bannon. I'll never say that again.